Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to Planet Tyro. I'm your host Donald Wonder, and I'm going to be continuing the discussion on Lupin the Third, because guess what? It's the year of Lupin. I always say Lupin. I know you guys hate that. Lupin. So anyway, today we're going to talk about the most popular Lupin the Third movie. Not only is it the most popular Lupin the Third movie, but it's actually one of the most well-known animated features of all time. I know saying that to non-anime fans might be a bit of a stretch, but people know Lupin. When you think of Lupin, people think of this movie. People that don't even know the character. And I've rewatched the movie to give you my thoughts on this and to see, is this movie still as great as so many people have held it to be? Let's break it down. So, for those of you who do not know what this movie is about, who have never heard of this movie, I'm going to be speaking about 1979's The Castle of Cagliostro. I think I pronounced that right. If I'm mispronouncing that, forgive me. Now guys, I want to be completely transparent with you. This was my first introduction to Lupin as a character. I saw this movie on Sci-Fi Channel back in the 2000s, or actually the late 90s. And every time I tried to watch it, I could never finish it. And that's mainly because a lot of the anime I was watching at the time was of a lot more a serious tone. This seemed very slapstick, it just seemed very goofy, and I never really got into it, and I always thought it was kind of overhyped. Only about 5 years later, when I sat down and I watched it thoroughly, I realized I'd made a very big mistake, and this movie was actually phenomenal. One of the reasons people love this movie so much, before I get into the plot, is that it was written and directed by Hayao Miyazaki. Hayao Miyazaki, founder of Studio Ghibli. The funny thing is, this movie isn't really associated with Studio Ghibli because I think this movie was made just before Studio Ghibli was founded. And because it's part of its own franchise, people kind of shift it to the side when they talk about Studio Ghibli. But this should be known as Hayao Miyazaki's first movie, feature-length animated movie, because, you know, it has all the trappings, all the classic elements of a Studio Ghibli movie. Great animation, great storytelling, overall amazing execution. But let me rewind and give you guys the plot. For those of you who do not know what this movie is about, I'm going to give you a very short plot summary without getting into spoilers. The Castle of Cagliostro is, well, it features Lupin further in his career of crime. When the movie starts, he's actually pulling off a heist with his partner in crime, Jigen. They're robbing a casino and they take a lot of money from the casino. When they take this money, Lupin examines the notes and he realizes that, you know what? The notes are counterfeit. And he's so impressed with the detail of the counterfeit, he actually wants to investigate where it comes from. And he realizes, he kind of pieces together that it's actually someone from his past is the only one possible of pulling off such a massive money laundering scheme. Also, it's tied to a girl from Lupin's past as well, that all ties to this person running this scheme, controlling this woman. That's all tied to the Castle of Cagliostro. That's where the movie is set. And I'm being very vague because I don't want to give spoilers, but everything is set around the money laundering, this princess of the Castle of Cagliostro, and Lupin being a knight in shining armor. So before I continue, let me just say this right now. I can't give this movie enough justice, but somebody already has. Somebody on YouTube, I believe the name is Professor Humble, he did a 1-hour analysis on why this movie is so iconic. This is not only one of the best anime movies I've seen, it's one of the best animated movies of all time. It's actually one of my favorite adventure, Save the Princess movies. And Professor Humble, look on the screen right now, click on the link on the screen. He does a phenomenal analysis on why this movie is great, from execution to animation to storytelling, why it's so essential, why it's so beautiful, why it has such an effect on the animation scene, on the film making scene in cinema. I don't want to override or overhype a movie, but this movie is well known for a reason. For God's sake, even Steven Spielberg said this is one of the greatest adventure movies of all time. That's a direct quote. So, yeah, there is a lot of love of this movie. But is this all nostalgia? Is this all of us just loving it for no reason? No. This movie is wonderfully executed with its story. Like I said, it's one of the best Save the Princess, Save the Damsel in Distress stories you've ever seen. And it's just beautiful from start to finish. Let me break it down. First of all, the animation is flawless. Compare this to any other 2D animation of the time and even of 20 years afterwards. It looks stunning. This is classic Studio Ghibli. Compared to some of the other Lupin the Third movies, it's gonna make the other Lupin movies look bad in terms of quality, because the DL Hayao Miyazaki made to this movie is just phenomenal. The fluidity in the car chases, in the explosions, in the heist, in just the characters. It's a much softer looking Lupin movie, but it's so much better executed than the others. It actually makes some of the other Lupin movies and series in the franchise look a bit worse, because this is done so well. This is kind of the best Lupin has looked until we get into the 2000s, but I'll get to that later. Let me talk about the story. Again, the story is just really fun, but really simple, really down to earth. And if we're talking about Lupin as a character, I don't want to get into too many spoilers, but this movie is set in a time where we're further along in Lupin's career of thievery. And what I mean by that is, in the movie, he tells you that in his youth, he was associated with the characters in the story, and he was a lot more gung-ho. And actually, even there's an iconic scene when he's talking about his past in this movie related to a character. There's a scene that shows you the pilot movie, so you can actually kind of put a timeline in the movie, that the movie's set 10 years after the first season, because he's wearing a green jacket as well. So what this all comes down to is this Lupin's character is a lot more mature. In fact, Jigen and Fujiko, all of them are a lot more mature, especially Lupin. He's so much more sincere in this movie. When you watch the series or the previous movies, you can tell. And that is the best thing about this movie. And it's also a little bit, puts the movie out of place, because when you go back and watch the other movies that come after this and the series, his personality is a lot more whimsical, a lot more energetic, a lot more young. This is an older Lupin. I know you guys might not notice this, especially if you don't know the franchise, but this is one of the things that stand out about this movie. Lupin is so much more mature. His character is much more likable. And, you know, he would be more like the villain in the TV series than he is in this movie. And the reason why I bring this up is because, like I said before, when you go back to the series and the movies after this, a lot of people have said, the Castle of Cagliostro is so good. Why are the other series and other movies so bad? But I'm going to put that down to Hayao Miyazaki's execution. The story he wrote, it was just so good. It makes the other Lupin series seem a little bit of a lower tier, a little bit inferior. But that's just a testament to how good the movie is. The sound is excellent. Again, great Lupin theme that I even use for some of the videos. Jazz, a bit of salsa, a bit of classical. It's all here. And, you know, I could just dick ride this for heaven's sake, high and low. But rewatching this now, 5 years later, it's still phenomenal. This still stands up to some of Studio Ghibli's best movies, to some of Disney's best movies. This is a great movie on its own. And watching it again, I just thought this is amazing. I kicked myself for not watching this for so many years. Everything about it is phenomenal. The animation, the story, the music. And, you know, I'm doing this playlist. I'm going through all these other Lupin movies. And, I'm wondering, as I go through this chronologically and as I get to the movies that were made after this, do they reach its caliber? Did Hayao Miyazaki take the franchise to its peak with this movie? Because that's what a lot of people have said. And speaking of which, if we look at IMDb, Rotten Tomatoes, this has got some of the highest marks of an animated movie, definitely in the franchise, and definitely as an animated movie alone. If I had to give this movie a rating, it's a high first class. It's nearly in my Hall of Fame. It's so close to my Hall of Fame, but it's a phenomenal animated movie from head to toe. Hayao Miyazaki did a phenomenal job. This is timeless adventure. And actually, I think they even made like a video game, a live action, what was it, an adventure game of it as well. This movie was fantastic from head to toe. Get this on Blu-ray, check it remastered. Absolutely so enjoyable. I can't believe how much I love this movie. And this is Lupin at its best. So guys, I know this is very well regarded. This is very well loved anyway. So I'm just kicking a dead horse. People have seen it already, love it. But if you've never seen this movie, if you think it's overhyped, let me know in the comments down below. Share your thoughts and feelings, because I'm just still blown away how this movie holds up all these years later. And you know, any fan of animation or film, check this movie out. And it really deserves all this high praise I'm giving it. But let me just stop there, guys. Again, I want to know your thoughts on this movie in the comment section down below. And, you know, moving forward through the franchise here, it's going to be interesting. I'll tell you that much. So anyway, guys, let's leave it at that. We've got some more Lupin videos to come by. Hit that subscribe button if you like the content. Like the video. I hope that you enjoy the content. We want any feedback you got on the franchise. But again, I want to say thanks for watching. I'll see you on the next one, guys. Take care. Peace out.